All right, hey everyone, good morning. This is Spencer with the Morning Mastery. I am extremely excited to have one of my favorite people in the world, and I'm not kidding, he really is, so I think you're gonna get a treat today. It's my number one mentor when I got going in real estate. His name is Sensei Gilliland. So Sensei, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you. He's actually out in Ohio right now, and tell us what you got going out in Ohio.
Well, what don't I have going out in Ohio? There's a lot of stuff going on over here. I mean, if people are looking for an affordable market that's where cash flow and appreciation and affordability and tax deductions is key to their portfolio, then that's what we're doing out here. So we've been out in this market since 2011, 2012, acquiring properties, rehabbing, and making them turnkey rentals for landlords just like yourself.
That's great. Ohio, he actually, since he lives in California, and let's just back up to 2005, 6, 7, before just the crazy upswing of the real estate market here in Arizona before the big fall. Sensei was in California and bringing me investors to invest in Arizona from California. Correct, Sensei?
That's right. Yeah, it was quite some time. We did quite a few properties. I mean, investors that were looking for, again, to build their portfolio. And at that time, most people were after appreciation versus cash flow. And however, we were able to provide both, which most investment firms weren't able to do. And I say we, meaning Spencer and I. And we had a good time doing it and a profitable time for all investors. And we really developed a relationship to where both companies, Spencer's and mine, matured into something really good.
Right. I mean, I don't, I would imagine, I don't think I'm exaggerating very much. I think we've probably moved a few hundred houses together, right?
Definitely a few hundred houses.
That's great. So, Sensei, tell us a little bit about yourself, like a little bit of an intro, like how long you've been doing real estate and why do you do real estate? Why do you like it? Why are you still doing it? That type of stuff. If you don't mind just going into an intro of you a little bit.
Sure. So I've never had a full-time job. I've always been an entrepreneur ever since elementary school. And right out of high school, I opened up my first business, which I'm actually selling right now. And I will be closing escrow on that business, 37 years of being in business. But that business is an after-school program, early evening, it's fitness gyms. And so I had my free time during the day, knew I had to do something else. And so I started venturing into coin-op car washes. Didn't know anything about real estate. Coin-op car wash, how do I build one? How do I rent one? Build the suits, zoning? I had no idea. But so after delving into that coin-op car wash, I learned one thing. Real estate controls all businesses. And God, everybody knows I love control. So I went after real estate versus the business itself. And so I learned more about real estate. I ended up going over to Fort Myers, Florida to pick up my first property while living in California. And that's just because I couldn't afford to buy anything in California at the time. Young guy, didn't have a whole lot of money. And Florida was affordable, and people were turning properties over there. So I picked up my first property, fixed it up, flipped it, and I'm like, holy smokes, I just did it. And here's what ended up happening. And, you buy your first house, and you're being promised by, your so-called power team of people, and they say, oh, yeah, we can get this thing rehabbed in a month's time. We can get it lifted and closed. And, what I found out, it didn't take 3 months like they said. It took 9 months. And I was hoping and praying that this would get done because I didn't even have any more money or credit on my card to get back over to Florida to even look at the finished product. and finally, I received a check in the mail from escrow being closed, and I made a little over $9,000 in profits. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute. Here I am in California, barely have any money to rub together, and I just put the house over in Florida, and I made a little over $1,000 in passive income per month. It just sparked me, and it's like a bag of potato chips. Once you pick up a chip, you can't stop. So I ended up buying more properties and working my way through Florida, through the Sun Belt area, and ended up landing in California in the later 90s. And so I was rehabbing houses, and then I learned about wholesaling and purchase options and a whole lot of other things that I added to my arsenal.
Wow.
Black Investors is a real estate education. We offer 9 different courses, consulting and coaching firm, and we offer investment opportunities in select markets across the states.
That's awesome. Wow, that's really cool. I mean, just to catch that real estate fire, I mean, I don't want to tell your age or anything, but what year was that? Your first still in Florida?
95.
1995. Hey, that shows that you're still pretty young. That's good. So basically, Sensei and I, we got connected in, just right out of the bat when I started doing real estate. And I was this young 25, 26-year-old kid and just eating up everything I can. And Sensei was just nice enough to take me under his wing and basically, I don't know if he knows this, but he was my mentor. I self-designated him. I didn't even have to pay him thousands and thousands of dollars or buy his $10,000 course. He just became my self-designation of my real estate mentor. Why is having a real estate mentor or a coach, Sensei, important to get going when you start real estate?
Yeah, good question. Well, I wouldn't even put it at starting in real estate. I would say throughout your whole career.
Yeah.
We all need guidance. We all need someone along our side to see different angles that we're not able to see. And once you become that person that says, hey, I don't need a mentor anymore, I don't need a coach, I don't need a consultant, I don't need a guide, is a person that stops learning. And if you're going to be in this business or any other business and you want growth, you have to continuously to learn. And I'm the type of person that needs guidance, no doubt. I need guidance so I can stay in my lane, and that way I'm able to utilize all the different tools that are available to me. And a lot of the tools I don't know what's available to me unless I have some sort of mentor. And you need a sounding board. You need someone to bounce ideas off of. You need someone to help strategize. You need a mentor or a coach to be able to unblock certain certain barriers that are inside your mind so that you can get to the next level. And so coaching and consulting is extremely important.
Yes, thank you. I had someone tell me this earlier this week. We're either in our business, in our life, when we go over, life, business, health. Are you a believer that we are either progressing or we are not? Is that always the case, or can we be stagnant? Because I was just told this week that, hey, you're either growing in these areas of your life or you're not growing. And there's no such thing as being stagnant. Would you believe that?
That's a pretty good question, actually. I would say for what I believe is that you are either growing or you're not growing. Simple as that. I'm a black and white type of guy. You're either on this side of the fence or you're on that side of the fence. And if you're in the middle of the fence, then it's going to hurt, right? So you don't want to have one foot on one side, one foot on the other. So yes, you're either growing or you're not. Simple as that.
Got it. I like it. So you mentioned something that I like that I took a note and wrote down. In having a mentor or coach in any aspect of life, it could be business, life, health. There's angles we don't see that others might see. So, and I could even say there's a corner or there's an obstacle or there's a block. And I think that's just really important as having a business mentor or coach is, like you said, bouncing that idea off that person to bring light to that situation. So there's, my dad's one of those people, I could be thinking one way and call him, and he comes in at this other angle that I'm like, I didn't even think about that. And Sensei's one of those type of guys also. Sensei's someone that's been constant in my life. I know I can call him. I know that if I ran out of gas on the side of the street in Arizona and I had no one else and he's in California, I know darn well he would hop in his Jeep and come get me gas. He's just one of those guys. And for that I appreciate it. So you also mentioned something. If we want growth, we have to continue to learn. And that's just the fact. And if we're not learning, we're not growing. And so, and so then I think, then how do I learn? What do I do? I mean, there's just so many resources. Of course, the Morning Mastery with Sensei and Spencer talking today is the best. But there's other just so many free podcasts and YouTubes and anything that you want to learn. So what are some of the areas in your life, Sensei, that you can share, or secrets that, how do you continue to learn and master your craft in your daily life or field?
Yeah, it's quite different today than it was back in 1995 when it comes to the having information at your fingertips. And I think today, most people end up running over to like YouTube University podcasts and such, and you can learn a lot. Trust me, you can learn a lot. It'll get you thinking and get the juices flowing. And I love everything that they put out there that's positive, that can help someone. However, there is a point where investors or entrepreneurs that want to level up are going to have to pay for some sort of consulting or education. I mean, think of it this way, Spencer.
Yeah.
If I had, God forbid, health issue and I needed heart surgery, am I going to go to the doctor that learned from YouTube and podcasts, or am I going to go to the doctor that went to, university medical school and graduated and worked under, a doctor's wing at the hospital? You know what I mean? So you can see the contrast there. So it's important that you end up doing both. A preliminary stage of learning and education is going through the different media sources that we have out there. But eventually you're going to want to get into the nitty-gritty, and sometimes you have to pay for that, and there's nothing wrong with paying for that. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Marcus Lemonis. If you're not familiar with Marcus Lemonis, he has a TV show, The Prophet, and he owns Camping World. And he was talking about education and how he's able to do time management and the importance of coaching. And one of the things is that he says the majority of shows that he's put out over, I think, his last 8 years is that he's lost more than he's gained in regards to his investment on the monetary side. But he says it was like, I can't remember the dollar amount, it was like $35 to $40 million of losses. However, it was his education has made him so much better at what he does, and he's been able to increase Camping World to a $7 billion business.
Wow.
So again, it's another angle where you've got a guy that's lost, tens of millions of dollars, but he's not regretting it. He's actually loving it because he's able to gain all that education and exposure to where it built him up in another side of his life.
That's really, really cool. I just feel like, sometimes we are so good, and we are actually really good learners of like gathering up and soaking information. It's just like our brains with all the content out there is we are just a sponge. But until that sponge starts to get wringed out a little bit or a lot of it, and you actually go take action in that craft that you are trying to master, you're just not going to learn how to do it. So sometimes I tell people, man, you got to stop learning. You got to stop being a sponge, and you got to get some of that water out of that sponge and actually like go take action and do what you're learning and figure that out, whatever that is, right?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I'm a martial artist. I've got martial art gyms. That's my oldest business is being sold. I get people that come to me and say, hey, Sensei, I want to learn karate, I want to learn boxing, I want to learn jiu-jitsu, I want to learn grappling, I want to learn all these different things. I said, great. Well, here's the thing. You're going to end up being a jack of all trades and a master of none is what's going to end up happening. And so if you're learning all these different things, you've got all this information, how useful is it going to be to you if you're learning it all at once? Let's say if I put you in an elevator and you're let's say you do Taekwondo, which 90% of it's feet, and you're matched up against someone that's a grappler. Well, the grappler is going to end up winning, is what's going to happen. So unless you're out in the street, then you have a much larger chance of winning. The point is that you're right. You can't just be a person that just takes in information. You and I have been around the real estate world for quite some time. I hosted real estate clubs for 17 years in several different locations. You've done the same. And we get a lot of people that come in and talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. I mean, you can speak to them and you think, oh my gosh, this guy really knows what he's talking about when it comes to real estate, and you come to find out he's never done a thing, right? So you're right. You have to take that information. You can be knowledgeable. What's important is taking that knowledgeable and putting it into action so it actually becomes wisdom. And that's where we want to get to.
Wisdom. Actually, the action action becomes the wisdom. I like that. Well, that's cool. You know, unfortunately, we are, you and I always say this, we can go on for hours and hours, and but we're going to let everyone go and start taking action and go get that wisdom. And Sensei, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate your time today. I know it's valuable. If you don't mind, I'm going to disconnect on the other line, and we're going to go over a few more things. And I appreciate everyone. You guys all have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.